Hello, everybody. Welcome to the third installment of the EcoCast. Today with me, I have Mr. Wizard.
Hi.
And I have George.
I'm back, guys. Hello.
Alright,
Hello.
so this week we were kind of worried about what we would talk about on the podcast because it was looking kind of dry with information. And then all of a sudden, boom, we got an Eco Dev blog number 1. So you should have got that in your emails if you're subscribed to the newsletter. If you're not, you should. That's probably the best way you could get news and info about what's going on. So this podcast, we're going to talk about what was said in the dev blog and more or less go over one by one all the points that they mentioned. So we'll start off with something cool that's going on. John said that he's been working with the dev community to create a web browser interface into the simulated ecosystem. So what this sounds like to me is that they want to make a web browser in the game so that as you're playing the game, you can open up this web browser and see how everything's doing. Have you guys played Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Wizard?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so in Grand Theft Auto, there's the internet feature that you can use, and in the game you pull up your cell phone and you can use the internet to make transactions and whatnot. So I'm thinking that this is sort of what the web browser in game is going to be like. So you pull up this device and you can see how the plants and animals are doing, depending on technology, or we're not really sure how it's gonna be implemented, but we know.
Yeah, because it sounded like there would be limits on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they said sort of because I know I was reading the email and they were basically saying that server mods and server admins can see like the whole thing, whereas everyone else might be a little bit limited, and it was different for teachers as well. So
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the idea that not all information will be available at the start of the game for like making ecological decisions could get really interesting. That excites me. Because the idea
that
of
leaves
like
room for exploration. You don't want
Exactly.
to just get on a server and know all the stats. You want to explore a bit, and you want to work for the information. So there's an image that they provided us, and it was a dummy server that the dev community made that serves up the animal and plant positions, updating frequently and rendering them in a map that can be panned and zoomed and clicked. So this image has a bunch of like waypoints, and it has placeholders for what would be plants and animals. So you would have an idea of where your plants and trees are and where the animals are and their behavior patterns and whatnot. So that would be really good for scoping out decisions to be made in your server. So
obviously it's very limited with the sort of information that we know on it though, because I'm assuming it goes up with the sort of server technology. So if you only have like basic technology, you only see basic things possibly.
yeah, they can make it so that perhaps depending on where you're standing, it can do a radius, so that from maybe like 100 feet, you'd be able to see what's going on, and as you upgrade it, it can show more and more area. That would be cool. So major props to our dev community. This is what was in the email. So shout out to Repeat Pan, Scott's, Schlong Fry, which is an awesome name. I love saying that name. Shout out to Schlong Fry and Timd, I think that's how you say it, for creating the dummy, that dummy server, and everyone else who participated in the discussions. So they do have the dev tier chat where those who bought into that, I haven't bought into that, but I heard that they do communicate often, and they're working together to create all these in-game mods, for the game. So that's pretty cool. The next thing they want to do is the browser interface for server properties. There was a video that John made that he put on YouTube. I'll link that. And they've started discussing that on the Slack and the dev forum about how to do it. So that's pretty cool. Being able to have complete control of your server properties in terms of how many trees, what type of trees, density, this, that. Just the customization is awesome. So
it looks like quite a simple tool to use as well. I mean, there's not anything difficult. The server properties looks really easy to edit. I think that's going to be a big thing for people that want to make their own servers.
I was trying to say, while my hotkey wasn't working, that's one of the reasons I love this game so much, is because everything looks so easy. Like, it looks like I can just take whatever I need to do and do it without, like, the nightmare that was Minecraft.
Oh dear, that was the text file after text file after text file.
Yeah, they're building it from the ground up. Like, this is user-friendly.
That's looking super nice for me.
That looks fairly easy. Excited about that. This will give server admins more control, more ways to have custom servers and worlds that appeal to their imagination. You know, that'll be nice. The next thing that they're working on is the account system. So you guys have heard about this, an account system that everyone will have an account that they could manage their pledges. And for those of you that weren't able to get in on the game, maybe you missed the Kickstarter or you heard about Eco a little bit too late, but you still want to donate, you still want to contribute to the project and get in for the alpha, you will be able to do that with this account system that they're working on. So this is going to be post Kickstarter backing. And
yeah, I have to admit that I'm actually really glad they're keeping it only Kickstarters, people who backed it on Kickstarter, sort of thing, because there was a lot of like, oh my goodness, this game's just gonna blow up and then it's gonna be bad. But now if it's bad when it first comes out, it won't be, because that's what I got when I posted the EcoCast episodes on the survival games Reddit. Everyone was like, I want to believe, but it'll probably be terrible. And then even if they fix it, it won't be good because everyone will have left, right? But I'm seeing this thing as a sort of an opportunity for YouTubers, for instance, me and George, to show off the game without, without like the disaster that is currently YouTube when anyone tries to make a video on anything. As in, there will be 20 videos exactly the same as it.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. But I'm not completely sure what you mean by that.
It's basically talking about sort of the saturation, like a bit like what Minecraft was when it was released. It just blew up so massive that if you now post a Minecraft video nowadays, it doesn't get viewed as much.
Okay.
So what we're saying with Eco is there's going to be less people with the game, and therefore more people want to see the
content. Okay.
More people want to see the content.
Okay, cool. Yeah, now I get it. Yeah, that's awesome, and that gives you guys an advantage.
Yep.
So look out for that if you haven't really, if you still want to contribute to the project. All you guys who are having difficulties with Kickstarter, or those that want to upgrade to the dev tier, you'll be able to do that because there's stuff happening in the dev tier. They're definitely getting stuff done.
Yeah, I'm sort of sad I didn't do that, but then I realized that I don't have any money. It's like, oh.
Yeah, and they have source code is coming in, so that'll be soon. They're working on that system we mentioned earlier, so that's pretty cool to be part of that.
All right, on to the next thing. I think is about time. They're bringing out forums, so they're gonna get an official forums instead of just all the community stuff that showed up. So we're sort of looking at this Node BB forums, which is a specific type. And they look real nice. Trance, you said something about it costing a lot? Do you actually have figures for that or no?
Yeah. Give me a second.
Sorry about randomly dropping that on you.
No, yeah, that's fine. So to put it in comparison, this type of forum, NodeBB, it is really nice. It's very modern. It looks like new stuff. I'm here thinking that the forums that the Eco Nation uses, that is pretty good. The Terraria forum uses Zenforo, which is the same system that the Eco Nation uses. And Zenforo is like very nice, and I've gotten used to it. Let me see if I can find their prices. You need licensing, which is like $140.
Oh boy.
And then and then that is a 12-month license fee. And then after that, there's some other fees that you have to pay for every additional thing that you want for Zenforo. I'm not completely sure how it works, but it does start getting a bit expensive. So to put that in perspective, there's that. And then there's NodeBB. So with NodeBB, you're talking about $250 a month.
Yeah. It's quite a lot, really.
That's a lot.
That's plus the server and all the rest of it. So, you know.
But I'm sure it's good, and they have reasons choosing that, and I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to the new forums. We were discussing earlier before we started the podcast about how the competition would be, or what's going to happen to the Eco Nation once the Strange Loop forums come out. Any thoughts on that?
I have a lot to say. If you have something to say, George, you should go first.
Sorry, I didn't quite hear the question. Sorry, can you repeat?
That's okay. What do you think is going to happen to the Eco Nation once these other official forums come out? Is it going to die down? Are people going to stay on the Eco Nation? How will the usability be with both forums?
Oh, I see. I guess it very much depends on how the other forum does. If it's easier to use, the layout's good, and how much activity goes through it. But I'd like to say that EcoNation stays alive because it's a nice community, and it's a nice place to go and to get answers to questions as well. And it's where we started, so.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. I sort of see them as, again, comparing the game to Minecraft, because that's the standard reaction to any question. Anyway, as such, I see EcoNation as the Planet Minecraft of the past forums, right? So EcoNation is going to work like the community website, whereas the Strange Loop forums will be something more like the Planet Side 2 forums, and will be mostly affecting the like actual informational releases. X, Y, and Z are happening, and then maybe a modding section on the Strange Loop forums that will be major.
That would be great, actually. I'm looking forward to the mods. I think that'll extend.
Yes, everyone is looking forward to the mods.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be great for the game as well, because if you look at a game like Skyrim, the modding support on that has just extended the life of that game by about 2 years, probably.
Oh yeah.
3.
Well, the modding.
3 years.
The modding. How long has modding extended the life of Minecraft?
Well, exactly.
I don't want to talk about it.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. So that's that.
That's a completely different book, so let's not open that one.
Yeah. What's next on the list? We didn't talk about the crafting. We didn't talk about the crafting.
No, we didn't.
Oh boy, actual game mechanics. You know, stuff people care about. We should talk about that sometimes.
Yep. So they're working on the first iterations of the crafting system, how that's gonna work in game. So I know there's a video about it, the general idea of how it would work, but now they're getting into the more detailed
mechanics instead of just like, this is how we think it might work, maybe.
Yeah. So this is what they said on the dev blog. Crafting takes time depending on your skill, and the building owner can extract a fee depending on the amount of time that you take using the...
Ignore
the building.
vehicles going by in background.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Just a joke.
Yeah, so to give you guys an example, let's say I own a refinery. And let's say Mr. Wizard is a scrub lord at mining. So his skill is very low. And let's say George, he's been doing this, this is all he does. So Mr. Wizard needs some ingots or bars, whatever the refined version of ores will be. He needs some of that good stuff. So he comes over to my refinery and he wants to use it. I'm like, okay, that's fine, sure. You can use my refinery. There's a fee. And let's say the fee is $1 per minute in whatever currency. So $1 per minute, Mr. Wizard comes, and because he's a really low skill, it's going to take him about 10 minutes to get his work done. So he's going to owe me 10 units of whatever the currency is. So that's fine, cool. Now George comes over, and he has the same amount of ore that needs to be refined. But since his skill is way higher, it's only going to take him, let's say, 3 minutes. So he can get all that work done in a faster time. He'll do it a lot more quickly, so he wouldn't have to pay me more. I'll be getting all my money from Mr. Wizard because he's just terrible.
Wonderful.
So that is how the system will work.
Yeah, the thing that interests me out of that is the idea that you'll be looking at extreme incentives for skill. Like if you're not good at whatever it is that you're trying to do, doing it's gonna suck, right? And so everyone's gonna have to specialize. This is just another way they're forcing that specialization, but that's exciting for me.
Yeah, because to use these buildings, I'm sure they're not going to be a walk in the park to make. It's not like everyone will have their own refinery, like everyone can have their own personal buildings because of the sheer amount of resources that it would take to make them. So
I think that forces communities together, I think, as well, which is quite nice.
For sure.
It's good to see that sort of community ethos being built up in Eco, because that's what the game's all about.
Yeah, and you can have entrepreneurs in this game that have no skill at all, and they just
cough, yours truly.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that's right up your street, Wizard.
Yeah, that have all these buildings. They have no skills, and they just make all their money from renting out their buildings and just feeding off of the players' need to use the buildings. But we'll have to see the logistics of that. How would a player get to that level without really building up on skills?
Yeah, because it sounds like you're going to have to be good at mining to build the buildings. That's what he said in the buildings video, that to get a good, like a higher quality or maybe a faster building, like a crafting building. I don't even, what do you call those? Crafting building, sure.
Yeah, crafting buildings.
That you need to have a high skill in that specific thing.
And possibly being an
I don't
entrepreneur, though, if you wanted a faster building, surely if you were doing the sort of the entrepreneur thing, having as many buildings as possible for people to come and use, surely you'd want a slower building. You make more money off it that way, wouldn't you? I mean, it's just something.
That's an interesting thought.
I mean, but and then of course people might not come and use your building. That's the only other thing.
Yeah. What else? From Eric said, and Eric is one of the engineers that we're trying to have on this podcast. Hopefully, by the next episode, we can have him on. So, he said the developer tier backers will more easily be able to collaborate during the project's continued development. Because he's working on a source migration over to GitHub. Or GitHub. I'm not sure what that is. Any of you know or are familiar with that?
It's basically a place where developers can put their source code on. So if anyone wants to help out or collaborate with the source code, they can put it on there and
Okay,
make changes to it. So it's where all the people that got the dev tier from Kickstarter will probably go and help out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely that. Just a centralized place so that people can help each other out and, build amazing things. Eric is also working on the UI setup. He's been trying to get that right, and he is getting it ready for the alpha. And it will be coming as soon as Milenko starts getting assets ready to put in. I believe Milenko is one of the artists, the guy working on the art, which looks really cool.
Yeah, the art, I don't know how that's going to go in the game, but it looks cool.
Yeah, I noticed that the characters, the sketches for the characters are not really voxel-like.
At all.
At all. So that's going to be interesting to see them inside of this voxel game. There's 3 images.
Although that could just be concept art.
Yeah, well, it is concept art. There's scrappy sketches. That's what he called them. But they look pretty cool. Which one is your favorite out of the 3?
I like the bottom one because the guy has a beard, and I like beards. But other than that, I'd say the guy at the top with the cowboy hat looks pretty cool as well.
Okay, what about you, George?
I like all of them, really. I mean, it'd be nice to see all of them in the game. Get a bit of variation as well. Maybe you can customize the cat. I mean, choose from a preset of 3, maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be something really good to see in the game, because I think people like that sort of choice of having a beard, not having a beard, having a cowboy hat, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
The bottom one is very much your industrialist. I think the middle one's more of your farmer, and then the top one's more of your farmer, and then the other one's sort of more your huntsman type class. So
yeah, but what's being focused is the character layout, because I'm sure you'd be able to customize the gear and more or less the features, but what's different about the 3 images are how they look, the art style. So you'll notice that the first image, the characters have these eyes that have the white around the eyes with the black in the middle, and then in the second image you just see little black dots. I personally like the second image, the little black dots.
Yeah, I think that works better.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's my favorite. And then, of course, that with the beard, and you can just, go crazy with customization.
Beards.
Crazy beards, I like it.
Yeah. Then Milenko's also been working on more or less the crafting UI, how that will look. It looks like what is it called? The market system, or what is that?
The one below the characters.
Yep.
Looks like a trading system.
Yeah, the trading system,
I would say.
Yeah. So
it looks like from
I don't know if I
the
like
seller's perspective.
Yeah.
It kind of resembles one of those old cash registers with the sale on the top of it. I think the top right one would.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
That's my personal favourite as well, the top right one, because it looks a bit more stylized than the others.
Yeah, I mean, it all looks pretty cool. So, and this is just concepts. Once they get into it, I'm sure it's gonna look awesome. Fuller. That's who we had on the last podcast. He's been doing some.
Check that out if you haven't seen it already. Shameless self-promotion. That was
plug.
Yeah. He's been working on some stuff. He said he made it so you can actually get out of the water. I wonder what that looked like before that.
I would assume that would have been a major issue with their dev build.
Yeah, seriously. He tied in the controllers down, did other interaction-related polishing for pick-upable objects. So he's just working on object interactions and then brushing
a thing stated a whole bunch is there's somewhere in the near future there is a UI redesign coming. is
Yeah.
something that seemed like a lot of people wanted to do, which is interesting because we haven't actually seen the UI yet. So
Yeah.
I don't know why it would be considered a redesign, but I
Well,
guess,
from their perspective of what they
yeah, I
have.
guess.
So they're just trying to get the sweet spot of the UI that looks the best. Because there's a lot of ways you can express it, but you don't want it to be too overcrowded, too clunky. So they're trying to find what looks the best. All these images, all these different images of the trading system.
There's so many different other UI ones as well. The mini map. I think it's the mini map anyway.
Yeah.
Below it as well.
Mhm.
Some of them look really sweet actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one that they finally settled on, I think, is really good.
Mhm. That looks pretty. It's nice and clean. So what's going on with Keegan, guys?
I think he's been on vacation.
I love the way they still threw that in there. Even indie games all the way, throwing that picture in there.
Oh yeah, man. Because it's a small team, and everyone is personally connected to this.
If anyone's interested in where Keegan went, he went to the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa in Rome. There you go.
How the hell?
You did.
How did you? Have you been there or something?
No, you can Google image search.
Oh.
You can search by image.
Yeah, well there you go. Now you know
marvelous of the internet.
If
yeah,
anybody
Rome.
is over there, yeah, go say hi to Keegan. I have no idea what he looks like, so good luck.
Just every guy from Seattle in all of Italy is like attacked. That'd be great.
Jeff has been busy.
We kind of already talked over all his stuff.
Yeah, we did.
In the forums rework.
Jeff is the guy working on expanding the community with the forums, and he's the web developer. So his job is to set up the web services that will support the community, which is the post funding and the account system and all that stuff. And I think that's it. That's a lot of stuff is gonna happen, and
Q&A.
Yeah, Q&A.
Finally.
Q&A time.
So on the Eco Nation, I made a thread where people could ask questions, and then John would eventually answer them. And he has in fact sent me an email answering the questions that I sent him. So I will read out the questions.
Do you want to take this in turns in reading it?
Sure.
Yeah. I'll go first, and then we can have George, and then Wizard you can read after that. So Blake asks, I'll start things off with a simple question. What prompted the creation of Eco? John responded, it's been rolling around in my head for many years, evolving over time. The base idea has stayed the same though, and that's a society simulator built from the actions of real people, putting the needs of the individual against the needs of the group, and letting that conflict be the source of gameplay. Putting it in an ecosystem simulation gave it the stakes it needed to be meaningful, and the shared/limited resources to get some serious conflicts and problems to solve. So now we know where the idea of Eco came from.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear that he brought that. The idea came not from specifically like an ecosystem simulator. It's not like, for want of a better word, let's be hippy dippy and make an ecosystem simulator and teach all the kids who like video games about how bad the ecosystem is, or some stuff like that. Because I know plenty of people who'd made a game like that and it would have been terrible. But the idea of a society simulator definitely sounds better than something like that.
Yeah, that's the main tier. The main, I guess, thing that you're looking at is a society simulator that happens to be with the ecosystem.
Okay, so we have a second question here from Azex. He says, were the spaceships in the stretch goal list just for show, or will they be added eventually? And John's answer was, they were our mega stretch goal. We'll still do them if we get the time and the funds. That will be after we make the base game though, and make it solid. So it's good to see they're gonna still stick to their guns with the stretch goals and add some spaceships in. I'm excited for that if that gets done.
That's going to be insane. Let's go to Mars and simulate the Martian ecosystem. Yay! So Lyndon asks, are there smaller organisms taken into account for the simulation? So bacteria, insects, that sort of general thing.
Hashtag we love bees.
Indeed, as George needed to add. And they exist, according to John, they exist as like indicators of the ecosystem's health, which is interesting because we'll have graphs to tell us all that, but I guess they're just around as an extra feature. So like birds and butterflies when everything's fine, and there are no birds and butterflies when everything's not fine. But he does say he wants to simulate them as well. But the larger animals will be around at the start, and that's it.
Yeah, that's the first priority, to have the larger animals, and then after they get that down, they can work on having the birds and butterflies have their own AI and actually do stuff besides being a placeholder for the ecosystem's health, which I think is still pretty cool. They're still there. This is what Lyndon, he asked multiple questions. He said, how varied will aquatic marine life be in the alpha release of the game? And John said, most likely a limited number of species, a few plant and a few animal. Which is
that means we will have more than just that orca, which is cool.
Yeah, some fishies probably.
Well, that's good.
You can go ahead.
How customizable will the player avatars be in the alpha release? John's answer to that question is not very. We'll be adding in later development, focusing on economy and government tech tree for alpha.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of resources to, come up with all the different options that you can have on a player and what he looks like. And it's just, for the alpha, like you said, it's just not a priority. And that's a lot of time that has to go into that to make it look nice. I wouldn't mind just a bunch of copy-pasta people running around. It's a bunch of bald people.
I mean, it worked for Minecraft for, 20 years?
Yeah.
20 months?
Years. 20 years.
It's worked for, 15? How long is the game?
I have no idea, man.
10 years now? 10 years-ish?
But yeah. It's not going to be a problem, man. You do have to understand this is the alpha release.
Yeah.
So.
I guess I'll just say this in
2009, just to say. Yeah.
Okay. I was screwing around. Minecraft is old. That's all that matters.
Old, yes.
And then I guess I'll just say this, and you get to edit it out. Fight said if there was a way to support the company with PayPal and the website, we already talked about that up above or earlier.
They're working on that.
That's coming out soon. And then you want to take the last one, Trance?
Sorry.
Oh, wait, George, what were you going to say?
I don't know whether they'll be running a donation service on their main website. I know you were saying that it's going to cost them quite a bit of money, so that may be something they might end up doing as well.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to open up, according to Jeff. Was it Jeff? Yeah, Jeff. He's working on an account system for their website that will allow players to add to their original donation.
I'll read it just from the dev blog. It says, first on the list is to create an account system where new users can purchase the game and our original backers can upgrade their account. So that's their priority. And another interesting thing that he mentioned was this would have been released already, but there was a weird PayPal bug that was going on that wasn't letting him set this up. So hopefully that gets resolved and we can have that account system, so that all the people that wanted to pay through PayPal but couldn't because Kickstarter doesn't support PayPal and yada yada, they will be able to finally. So look out for the account system.
All you people sneaking money out of your parents' bank accounts with PayPal can pay now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it'll be for a good cause. So when they find out, you can be like, this is for learning. Yeah. So the last question was by EcoRound, and he asks, I just want to know how long the delay between the Kickstarter alpha and Steam Early Access is going to be. The answer is undecided at this point. I want to make sure the game is pretty stable once we put it on Steam, but we will allow people to fund it on our website and get alpha copies, that way pre-Steam early access. So that's pretty cool. That is going to be via the account system.
And that concludes the Q&A.
Yeah, that
Whoa.
wasn't a lot of questions. And John's really pretty good at answering questions. On the Reddit, there.
Oh yeah, just go for it. He'll show up.
Yeah, there's an actual thread that is Strange Loops Q&A mega thread. So you can just go in there and post your question, and eventually, John will respond to it.
Okay. Thanks very much, guys, for having a listen to EcoCast episode 3. If you've missed any of the episodes, go check out our YouTube channel. It's EcoCast on YouTube, as well as Mr. Wizard's Twitch when we record it, usually on a Saturday evening as well.
Yeah, we try.
Evening for you, midday for me.
Well,
but,
evening
whatever.
for me, yeah.
This is 3 different time zones we're looking at.
This is crazy hours.
Yeah, this is. We managed to make it happen, so that's good. As far as the next podcast, like I said, hopefully we get Eric on. I'm gonna see when that happens, so be on the lookout for that. That'll be fun. And yeah, links will be in the description. It's all of the relevant information. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. So
Awesome.
see you next time.
Thanks, guys.